Chapter 2 of The Art of War, titled Waging War, Sun Tzu emphasizes the cost of conflict, not just in money and lives, but in energy, time, and resources. War should not be prolonged, and it must be entered with precision and intention. The longer a war drags on, the more it depletes the state. Victory should be swift and calculated. Sun Tzu's 4 key points in that chapter are: 1. Prolonged war leads to exhaustion. Quick, decisive action prevents long-term damage. 2. Resources must be managed wisely, as war is expensive, with things such as supplies, troops, time, and morale. 3. Use the enemy's resources. A smart general uses what the enemy has built rather than waste their own. And 4. Victory is the objective, but strategic efficiency is the method. Now let's dive into the empathic interpretation of Chapter 2, titled Waging Energy. This chapter is where you must learn and fully understand that energy is your most sacred currency. The empath's war isn't fought with weapons, but with attention, compassion, and care. But these are not unlimited resources. When given without discernment or rest, they become self-destructive. Number 1, do not fight every battle. Because if you stay in emotional warfare too long, your light dims. As an empath, your instinct is to protect, to soothe, to defend others, especially when you sense injustice, pain, or imbalance. You feel things that others ignore. You see what's unspoken, and because of that, you often become the unofficial healer, the emotional bodyguard, the energetic janitor. But this sacred sensitivity you carry does not mean every storm deserves your umbrella. You must realize that not every outburst needs your peace, and not every wound needs your hands. Here's a brief breakdown as to why empaths engage in too many battles. You feel responsible for others' emotions. You confuse empathy with enmeshment. You equate love with self-sacrifice. You've been conditioned to keep the peace, but it has been at your own expense. And you fear what will happen if you don't step in. But this over-engagement creates chronic emotional fatigue, blurred identity, and resentment. It pulls you out of alignment with your soul's mission, replacing purpose with performance. If you ever wondered how not to engage, ask yourself these questions. Is this mine to heal or theirs to feel? Will my involvement empower or enable? Have I been pulled in without consent, or have I volunteered out of guilt? What do I lose by trying to save them? What do they gain by saving themselves? You need to understand that if the emotional battle you're engaged in repeats without resolution, hijacks your peace, disrespects your boundaries, asks you to betray yourself, it is not a battle you are meant to fight. Now here is some strategic wisdom for the empath. Discernment is not cold-heartedness, it's soul protection. Walking away is not abandonment, it's energetic clarity. Letting people feel their pain is not cruelty, it's sacred respect for their spiritual contract. You are not their source, you are a mirror, a guide, a light, not a crutch. Moving to number 2, your energy has a cost. As an empath, your energy is your greatest currency, more valuable than time, money, or even words. You pay with your attention, your presence, your emotions, and your nervous system. You're not just being there for someone. You are holding their pain in your body, running their emotions through your system, and processing things they often refuse to face themselves. And that comes at a cost. Here is why this is hard for empaths. You were taught to give without limits, especially if it made someone else feel better. You feel selfish if you don't show up when others are in need. You've learned to equate exhaustion with compassion. You don't always notice your energy is being drained until it's too late. But compassion without consciousness becomes self-neglect. Love without limits leads to leaks in your life force. Here is an energy ledger, detailing what it really costs you. Every time you do things like stay on the phone too long with someone venting negativity, say yes when your gut says no, stay in toxic environments to keep the peace, stay in toxic relationships because you trauma bonded, have a fear of being alone, financially dependent on the person, or vice versa, or social pressure. Offer healing to someone unwilling to heal. Ignore your own body to hold space for someone else. Participating in things like these makes you withdraw from your own account. It ends up costing you your clarity, your groundedness, your inner peace, your sleep, your ability to show up for yourself. And the debt always comes due in burnout, resentment, mood swings, fatigue, or even illness. The empath must shift in mindset. It is not selfish to protect your energy. It is not rude to say, "I'm not available right now." It is not love if it empties you every time. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Try this practice. The empath's energy budget. Imagine your energy as a daily budget of 100 coins. Ask yourself each morning, what do I want to invest my energy in today? Who replenishes me and who drains me? What must I say no to so I can say yes to my well-being? And remember, protecting your peace is not passive, it's strategic self-love. You are allowed to pause, unplug, go silent and recharge. You are not a bottomless well. You are a sacred spring. You need rain too. Empaths don't burn out because they care too much. They burn out because they don't realize how much they're spending. When you learn to treat your energy like the divine currency it is, you stop offering your peace as a payment to be loved, and you begin to live as the sovereign soul you truly are. Number 3, avoid prolonged draining cycles. Long emotional wars break the spirit. Empaths are natural nurturers. Your heart wants to heal, fix, uplift, and soften the pain of others, especially those who've been wounded, abandoned, or unseen. But what happens when you're caught in a repeating loop? What happens when you're constantly giving, forgiving, explaining, absorbing, and yet nothing changes? That's not love. That's a draining cycle, and it will siphon your soul energy over time if you don't step out of it. What are prolonged draining cycles? These cycles often look like one-sided emotional labor. You listen, care, and hold space, but they rarely ask how you are. Repetitive conflict. The same arguments, wounds, and hurtful patterns keep resurfacing without true resolution. Energetic codependency. You feel responsible for their moods, progress, or healing. Spiritual guilt tripping. You believe that if you walk away, you're abandoning your purpose to help them. These relationships and dynamics feed off your energy, not your love. They ask you to stay longer than your soul can handle, convincing you that leaving is cruel, when in truth, staying is the betrayal of yourself. Signs. You're in a draining cycle. You feel tired after every interaction, no matter how kind you were. Your intuition whispers, but guilt drowns it out. You get anxious when their name appears on your phone. You've tried to leave multiple times, but something keeps pulling you back. You fantasize more about peace than love. The spiritual danger of prolonged draining. Prolonged energetic entanglements disconnect you from your own voice. They dull your intuitive senses, keep you in emotional limbo, create confusion between your needs and theirs, drain your creative life force, disrupt your physical and emotional health. Remember, you can't alchemize what someone else refuses to transform. Staying too long becomes a silent agreement with your own exhaustion. Why it's so hard to let go for an empath. You saw their potential. You want to be the light that changes them. You believe unconditional love means unconditional access. You're afraid of seeming cold or selfish. Part of you believes your love will be enough to heal them. But love without boundaries becomes bondage, and hope without change becomes self-deception. The sacred art of exiting the cycle. Just because you've been there for them doesn't mean you belong there forever. To break the cycle, acknowledge the pattern without shame. Honor the lesson, even if the relationship must end. Affirm your right to peace over loyalty to pain. Cut the energetic cord with love, not hate. This doesn't mean you failed. It means you finally succeeded in listening to your soul. As an empath, you are not meant to live in survival mode. You are meant to thrive in alignment, to share your gifts in sacred reciprocity, not forced endurance. You can still love them and walk away. You can still hold compassion and close the door. Let that be your new cycle, one of restoration, sovereignty, and freedom. Repeat this empath's mantra for cycles that drain. I do not have to stay where I am constantly depleted. My light is not a leash. My love is not a prison. I bless this lesson and release its hold. I choose the stillness of my own soul over the storm of someone else's unhealed chaos. Side note, if this message is resonating with you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to click on the bell icon so you won't miss a moment of insight on your journey. Now, here is a red flag warning for all empaths. If someone requires your exhaustion to stay connected, they are not in alignment with your healing path. Remove them or yourself from your surroundings. Remember, you don't owe anyone anything. It is okay to walk away. Moving onward to number 4, use what's already there. Let others carry their share of the load. In the art of war, Sun Tzu teaches that a wise general wins by using the enemy's resources, their food, fuel, and supplies, rather than exhausting his own. For the empath, this becomes a lesson in sustainability. Stop over-functioning. Stop overextending. Stop overgiving when others are not bringing their own tools to the table. You do not need to be everything for everyone. Often, what's needed is already present if you stop trying to do it all. What this means for the empath. As an empath, your instinct is to help, fix, soothe, or guide. But that often translates into doing emotional labor that isn't yours, absorbing what others refuse to process, carrying a relationship entirely on your shoulders, rescuing people from their own sacred initiations. Instead of using what's already there, you become the source, when in reality, you are meant to be a mirror, not a savior. Why empaths? Overgive. Fear of being replaced or unloved. Belief that your value comes from your usefulness. Habitual caretaking rooted in trauma or family roles. Spiritual guilt. If I can help, I should help. But true help doesn't always look like doing more. Sometimes it looks like stepping back and letting others rise into their own power. Here are some energetic boundary tips you can use. Before you step in to absorb, intervene, overextend, or quote-unquote help, pause and ask, is this mine to bear? What do they already know but are avoiding? Am I interrupting their lesson? Are they willing to do their part? Or is there always an excuse created by them or you? What part of me wants to feel needed? And is that desire healthy? When you recognize what already exists inside them, not you, you allow space for growth, room for accountability, and the freedom for you to stay in your center. Energy work. Shift from source to support. Instead of, let me fix this for you. Say, what tools do you already have to deal with this? I'll carry this pain so you don't have to. Say, you are strong enough to sit with this and I trust your process. They won't do it unless I push them. Say, then it's not their time. My push will not replace their readiness. Strategic empathy equals empowerment. The empath who stops overfunctioning becomes a conscious witness, not a silent martyr. You save energy. They build resilience. The dynamic becomes sacred, not dependent. Let them carry their own water, so they know how sacred it is. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone is not carry them, but show them the strength they already possess. You don't need to dig a well when there's already water. You don't need to light every candle. Sometimes it's enough to remind them they carry fire within. Lastly, number 5, efficiency over martyrdom. Victory is not in how long you suffered, but how wisely you navigated. Empaths often wear their compassion like armor, believing that enduring pain, especially for others, is part of the path. But suffering isn't a badge of honor. It's a signal to pause, reassess, and shift into strategy. Your sensitivity is not meant to lead you into spiritual martyrdom. It's meant to make you highly efficient in energetic intelligence. Let go of the belief that the more you bleed, the more you prove your love. You were not born to drown in other people's pain. You were born to alchemize it with intention. The myth of the empathic martyr. Martyrdom says, I have to stay even if it breaks me. If I don't do it, no one else will. They'll fall apart without me. If I suffer enough, they'll finally see my worth. But efficiency says, I'll give what serves highest good, not what drains my spirit. My presence is powerful, but not indispensable. Everyone has the right to rise through their own trials. I am not required to destroy myself to prove I care. Efficiency is not cold. It's clear. It's not detached. It's discerning. It's not less loving. It's more sustainable. Empathic efficiency in practice. 1. Respond with precision, not overreaction. You don't need to explain, justify, or overcompensate. A calm, clear no is more sacred than a tearful yes soaked in resentment. 2. Protect your peace like a resource. Don't show up to every fire. Learn which ones are purification flames and which are energetic arson. 3. Be intentional with your energy output. Every text you respond to, every phone call you take, every tear you wipe, it's a withdrawal from your life force. Spend wisely. 4. Pause before pouring. Ask, am I giving from fullness or from fear? Fear of abandonment, of being unloved, of not being useful. If the answer is fear, it's not love. It's a self-abandonment loop in disguise. Your calling is sacred, but how you move in it matters. Empaths who martyr themselves burn out. Empaths who move with strategy light the way for others without extinguishing themselves. The most powerful empath is not the one who gives the most. It's the one who knows exactly when, how, and why they give, and does so from overflow, not obligation. You are not here to be used. You are here to be utilized with grace, purpose, and power. Remember, to live the life of an empath is to enter into a constant energy exchange. Prolonged emotional battles deplete your soul, and it is always okay to walk away, no matter the situation or circumstance.